Hello scrapping friends, I'm Deborah Kozlovic and I'm a Creative Memories Independent Advisor from Australia. Welcome to Creating Your Memories. Today I want to show you a technique that I seen Noreen Smith do in the Creative Scrapbooking Magazine. I'm sure that's what it was called. It's very simple, very easy, but very elegant design. So I wanted to share with you today. Noreen did use the Monstera leaf decorative border punch, but I'm going to show you today not only can you use it for the Monstera's border punch, you can also use it with our other punches. The Monstera's border punch is actually like a chain punch, so that it will come apart from your paper. And then on this one I use the Rainbow Ripple, which is this one here, which was one of their December deals. So I used that one on this design, but it didn't come apart like a chain, so I had to cut the edge off. So I'm going to show you today how you can use a chain decorative border punch to a standalone border punch that will actually stay attached to your layout. So this is one that I did with the Rainbow Ripple. And I used one of the older totally tone on papers. I'm not sure which one was this called now, but it was the greys and blacks, so it really stood out. So I used that, and then the new little flower punch. On this one is used with the Monstera's leaf punch, and then I've used the embellishment. To show you how to use this punch, to put all that aside, I've taken out a few bits of paper that I will be using today. So the first one I'm going to be using is from our Tropical Time. So it's from the designer paper pack, and I will use the Monstera's leaves to show you how that one works. But like I said, you can use any punch that you like. So to start off with, I'm going to fold this into a triangle. Just making sure that all our ends meet up nicely. And then just putting a slight crease in the middle there. You don't have to like really tighten that down. So we're going to use this just as a standalone border punch. Folded our 12 by 12 designer paper in half to make a triangle. So then I want the folded edge, it's going to face towards me. We're just going to use the punch as a normal border punch. So we've got our point here with our two open bits. So we're going to insert that in the punch, and then lining it up on the punch for our standalone is on your black lines there. So we're going to put that in onto the black lines, making sure that it's sitting at the back, everything's lined up nicely, and then do your first punch. It is going to be a little bit difficult because we have got lots of designer paper which is folded in half. I would not recommend doing this by using our Creative Memories punches if you're not using the Creative Memories paper, because the paper thickness would vary in weight. So, and you don't want to cause that damage to your punch or getting it stuck. So we've moved that along, and then we've lined that up on our blue bits on our tray there. So everything's locked in there nicely. So then I'm going to punch again. So I'm just going to continue to move that along, just like we would if we were just doing a standalone border. And punching. So I think we've got about a couple more punches to go. So still moving that along. Everything sitting nicely. So then our last punch, I'm going to slide that along, making sure that everything is lined up again. And you want to make sure that that end tip is sitting at the back of that housing bit. and then punch. So just going to move all that away. So then, as you can see, when we open up this, you have that nice decorative border. I'll just bring in that. This cardstock is pumpkin. So I'm just going to bring in that so you can actually see how nicely that would sit on your page. So then if I'm turning around, because that's got a nice little paper design, and using the plain side, you can actually see that it stands out a little bit more depending on your background colour. And then you've got the L shape down the middle there. So then the only other thing that you can do to complete this design is I'm going to crease out that fold line, and then I'm going to work out which sides that I just punched on, and they're going to be my cutting side, so everything lines up neatly. So then I'm just going to bring in my trimmer, and then I'm going to cut that piece of paper a 10 by 10. So then when you finish doing this layout using just 2 bits of designer paper or designer paper and a cardstock, you're not having much waste on paper wise. So the only waste that you really have is your confetti from your punch and these 2 strips here, which then you can versatile and also use them so there be no waste. So just lining that border on the edge, and then using the coloured bit in the middle and just lining it up, still giving a nice little edging. And once you stick that down, you're not going to notice that you had a crease in there. And then you could cut these to maybe 1/4 inch, or they could be just about 1/2 inch, and you can cut little strips and then use them as little journaling tags. So that one is using the Monstera leaf. So as you can see on the reverse side, I've done exactly the same thing, just used a different designer paper, and then I've placed my photos down, done the embellishments, etc. So that's with the chain punch. So now I'll show you with a standalone border punch, which does not attach from your designer paper. So with our next one, I'm going to be showing you with the Totally Turn On Purple Ice designer paper, and I'm going to be using a purple ice as my base for my layout, and I'm also going to be using the Dollop Arch Punch. So exactly the same process as we did on the other one. We're going to fold this into a triangle and then folding it in half, and then getting our punch and doing exactly the same. So I'm just going to line it up and just punch it as a border. And I'll punch, and I'm just going to go along, and as you can see, as I was saying before, it's not like a chain that comes apart. This punch will stay attached to your paper, but it's the same similar technique as using, you know, a chain like punch. It just means that you have to cut your border piece off to put on your page layout. So now I'm going on to my last punch and just making sure that everything is lined up, and then punch. So I'm just going to move that little confetti out of the way. So now I'm going to bring in the trimmer. I'm going to be leaving that folded and then just sitting on this edge, then just to work out how much you would like to trim off that and how much of a border on the edge that you would like. So if I cut that, you know, like the tip of that edge on 1 inch, that will just give me like a quarter, just over a quarter edging. So now if I open that up, you've got this tiny little design at the end. I'll just get my multi-purpose tool and open that up. This dollop arch is also a border punch. So as you can see, you can actually place that down on your page, just placing it in the middle, and then we have our leftover. So I'm just going to open that up. I think I might have the stars of my base like it clashes, so I might have to end up changing my backing page to a different color, because then if I use the reverse, it doesn't look too bad. It's going to clash, so I can actually use the same side. So now I'm just finding my edge that I punched on and then cut those two edges off. So now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to cut this piece of paper, designer paper, down to 10 by 10. So exactly the same as what we did on our first one. So as you can see, with the difference with cutting it down to a 10 by 10, there's not much difference in the sizing of the punches when it comes off as a chain punch to a standalone punch. So now I can just line this up, place my backing paper down the bottom, just lining that up and then sticking that down, and then placing my photos and maybe put a border strip, you know, just to decorate your page a little bit. So that's using the dollop arch punch. And then we also use the rainbow ripple and the Monstera leaves. So I'm just going to bring back in those layouts. So as you can see, by using the different punches, it actually gives you a different effect of how you would, you know, decorate or design your page layout. So why don't you give this a go today and try a different technique, or one designer paper and a cardstock, and make your little L-shaped design layout today. Thank you, everybody. Please comment and like and subscribe to my channel. Happy scrapping!